Alright YouTubes, how are we all doing? Hope you're all well. Today's video we've got a little bit of a rare car in a way. It's a BMW E46 330 Ci, so it's like a Club Sport edition that they bought out. And in this video I'm going to sort of show some of the painting and some of the things we've had to do. So obviously we've already started this car, so I'll give you a bit of an explanation of what we've done to it. So it's in for a fair amount of work. It's in for the front end to be painted. So we've got a new wing for it because of rust. So we've got a new genuine wing to go on there. And the bonnet was stone chipped. Not too bad. A few little rust blisters from the stone chips. And we're doing this wing as well, again for chips across the front edge of it and for blending. The colour's Estral blue. Also, there's a couple of sort of odd bits to do on this. So we've had to have a bit of welding done to this sill. We've had to have a section cut out of it because it had a few rust scabs on here, but underneath it was sort of quite bad and rotten. And there was a sort of rust scab in the shut here as well. And also we'll be blending the door as well, so blending the door for the new wing, and the rear bumper we've got to do, just had some marks on it. Obviously going to be painting this door shut. So how I'm going to do this job is I'm going to paint this door shut while the door's off. And also there was some, if I show you, there's some rust under here as well on the bonnet. So it was blistered on here, so I've removed all the sealer and wheeled it all out as best I can. So it makes it a little bit awkward having to do, you know, the bonnet underneath and on the top. So I'm going to sort of paint these two parts first. So I'm going to paint the door shut first, then we can get the door hung back on. We're not going into the quarter panel because the door's only for blending really, for the wing. And I'm going to blow in this just this underneath lip of this bonnet. Just makes it easier. So if I get these two bits done first, then it doesn't make it so awkward to paint. So if I show you under here what it's like. These cars, they're matte under the bonnet. Well, they're sort of just they're body coloured, but not really any clear coat on them. They must, they get a little whisper of clear coat creep under the lip, and that's it. So I'm going to try and replicate that. Do a smart repair under here. Just base coat under here. I'm going to redo the sealer. So once I've prepped this, I'm going to just wash some sealer in there, and then I'm going to use sealer that's on a tape to try and sort of replicate the factory bead of sealer, which is like this. It won't be exactly like it, but it'll be similar. And then one good thing about the Mipa base coat is you can put an activator in the base coat. So if the activator goes in the base coat, so a hardener, you can leave it exposed. It's got protection without any clear coat on there, which is quite a good advantage to do that. So I'm going to use activated base coat to blow this in, and then I'm just going to try and replicate, a small little whisper of clear coat over it to try and make it look the same as this side. If you can see on this side, there's, just a tiny little bit of clear coat that's gone under that lip. So I'm going to try and do the same, try and make it look the same, and just blend it in, maybe come off of this line here and just feather it in a little bit. It's a little bit awkward, a little bit tricky, but I don't mind doing little bits like that. It's quite satisfying if you can sort of make it look factory looking. And then I'm just going to paint this sill, and then just soft edge off of this quarter panel and paint this shut. First bit of footage I'll do is doing these two little smart repairs in a way, and then once we get those done, we get all the outside panels prepped, and then I'll film the painting of those bits. So that being said, I'll get the camera set up and get cracking on.
All right, YouTubes, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the channel. My name's Jason. This video, is going to be sort of talking about the fine details on jobs. You know, production cars, I like to find a way of making that car look like it hasn't been repaired, you know, so copying basically how that car's painted in the factory, trying to replicate the finishes and you know, the way the paint sits on a car. And quite often this isn't that modern of a car, but for quite a while now there's been, you know, never any clear coats under bonnets, and it's just overspray that goes in there. So instead of just painting it and clear coating it like you would any other outer panel, it can be a bit more difficult to replicate basically how that paint's landed naturally.
Right then, YouTubes, the BMW's all prepped now, masked up. So I'll give you a quick look. So yeah, I'm going to do a little blow in under here. Like I say, it's all sort of matte base coat in here. So I'm going to just do it with activated base coat, and I will sort of just try and feather in a little wispy coat of clear coat just under this lip to try and copy it. But you can see there's like not even any colour up here. So even prepping it, scotching it, you end up going through. But it's got the sealer tape on there. Look, that looks pretty factory looking, almost, not too bad. I'm just going to leave it all as is on here, because we've got to sand that anyway, so just let the overspray go on it, and then yeah, blowing in the shut and the sill. So sort of reuse the masking that's on it, reuse the sheeting that's already on there for this, for these little bits. And yeah, I've got a couple of, well, it's sort of a newish product to us. We've got these little rolls of sheeting in various sizes, just sort of experimenting with them. They come with the tape on there. They come with like the fine line sort of tape, like the jack tape, which you can use for more detailed work. But I'm finding these really handy. They're pretty cheap, but these are made by Q1, so the people that make the masking tape and stuff. But this is under their painting and decorating section. They got loads of different sizes of these, and you just tape them on and unravel them, and they're sort of static, so they stick and cling to the surface when you unravel them. And yeah, I find them really handy. I found them quite cheap. I didn't think they were very expensive. I just bought a variety of sizes to see which ones we would use more commonly. But yeah, they're not under their automotive, so I was a bit dubious about paint maybe flaking off with them, but I haven't had any issues with them. They don't bleed through paint. Base coat and clear coat hasn't bled through them, or primer, and it hasn't flaked off when it's dry. So yeah, I'm surprised they're not under the automotive section. They're under the painting and decorating section. But yeah, I used a piece of it here. So this is a big one, like a 2 metre. So yeah, you just tape it straight down, straight onto your tape, you know, your back masking or whatever, and then just unravel it. And yeah, it's quite a handy little bit of masking. So it's another little new product that I'm trying out, and yeah, just working out which sizes suit really for the applications. But yeah, handy to have. And yeah, I find this little one in door shuts, if you do a little soft edge in a door shut or on the inside of a door, just tape some of this down, spread it out. It's about, I think it's about 400mm wide or something like that. And yeah, it works really well in a door shut. Bit better than using paper, because it doesn't tear like paper. When you shut a door against the catch or something, the paper can rip and tear when you shut a door or something off, when you put some paper in there. But this just sort of fits in there and doesn't tear. So yeah, handy little rolls these are. So yeah, they're by Q1, and they're from the painting and decorating section, which I thought I'd give them a go. So anyway, enough waffling. I've got the colour, I've spectroed the colour, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix a small amount of the colour. So obviously putting hardener in it, it's going to go off after a little while, so it's not usable. So I'm just going to mix up a small amount, just to paint these bits, and I'll do a spray out with it, and then I can check that spray out from our Spectro to see if it's better than the standard shade chip. So yeah, it picked out a standard shade, and the chip doesn't look too bad. It's not 100%. So I'll do the spray out with the Spectro version, see what that's like, and then I can decide on what I'm going to put on the outer body. So that being said, I'll get all the paint mixed up and we'll get some paint on it.
So it's all prepped and masked now, and yeah, ready for some paint. Like I said earlier, Mipa, you can add a hardener to the Waterbase base coat, which gives it protection and, you know, resistance against any harsh chemicals. So you can create, you know, like the matte look without having to put any matte clear coat on it or any of that, and not have to worry about it. It's also used, the hardener is also used if you're doing like a 3-stage colour, you use it in the base layer, just for guaranteed of drying, you know, when you're adding multiple layers of base coat. So yeah, it's a handy little additive to go in there. It slightly changes the way it goes on there. It does make it a little bit sort of cheesier looking when it goes on there. Now, it does add a little bit of texture. It's quite thick, the hardener, but it's only 5% that goes in there, and you just add it into the formula when you're mixing it up. So yeah, pot life, depending on temperatures, it does start going like jelly after a couple of days, so you wouldn't be able to store the base coat afterwards. So yeah, so it's got the hardener in there, and yeah, going to give it this colour cover reasonably well, so it'd just be 2.5 coats as normal, so a half coat, and then sort of a double coat, 2 medium wet coats, and then a drop coat at 1 bar. So I'm using my minijet for this job, which is perfect for this type of work. Minimal amount of paint consumption through the minijet. So it's Sata minijet 4400B, and that's a 1.2 RP. Sorry, that's a 1.2 HVLP for the base coat, and it lays on a lovely layer of paint, almost like a big gun really. It's got a lovely wide fan on it, so you can do a fairly large area with it, and you can keep it really detailed and small as well, you know. So yeah, it's a great gun for this type of work, and for, you know, small smart repairs and blow-ins. So yeah, we'll get all the base coat on there, and then yeah, once we get to the clear coat, I'll show you what I do with just trying to get that little bit of overspray in there. So I've left all the sheeting on this car from the primer, so the car's still protected, bagged up, and I've just added a bit of that sheeting that I spoke about earlier. I've just added that as my detailed masking around the areas that I need to blow in. Just left the bonnet exposed, let the overspray go over it, and that sort of, when I sun that off, that'll give me a nice transition between the inside and the outside when I go to paint the outside. So with this Waterbase system, you put the first coat on as a half coat, and you need to dry that coat out. So it's not a one visit system, but you can double coat it as long as that first coat's dried out. So I keep the booth temperature at the normal spraying temperature of around 22-23 degrees, and I use that A&I blower. That setting I got on there with that little funnel on the end of it, that's on the maximum heat setting, so it will increase the warmth of the air coming out of it, but there's low air volume, so it's good for that little detail work to get that base coat dried pretty quick without having to mess about with your ambient temperatures. So you get that first coat dry, and then yeah, I'll go for the double coat, which is you just basically put one coat on, then on the area that you're coating, and then just come back on yourself and overlap back to where you started. That's how I do it, and then move on to the next section and do the same again. Do one coat, get to your finishing point, and then just go backwards from where you started. And then once you've got that bit of coverage, I then just do some light blending out in your blend areas, get that all flicked out, so basically all your coverage and all your blending is done in that second second sort of application of that base coat, which I don't find it too long-winded at all. It covers really well, this base coat. There is going to be transparent colours like in any system, and yeah, I'm just putting a bit of colour at the end of that seal because the new wing's going to be edge to edge with that little panel there, that little piece of seal that shows. So yeah, like I say, it's I don't find it very long-winded at all, this system. As a standard type of system and not a one visit application, is quick, and it doesn't require a lot of time standing there blowing. I do blow all the base coat just to guarantee it's dried through, but I put this second application on as a double medium wet coat, and I let the overspray clear, and then I do put it on a small bake, a low bake cycle. I put it at 45 degrees, and then I just come in with the blower, with a different blower that I've got, a Satajet blower, which would just use the air temperature that's in that room at the time, and blow dry it that way while the booth's warming up, and it doesn't take long at all. And I'm just doing a spray out, as I said earlier. I spectroed this colour. The colour chip looked pretty decent, but I thought I'm going to be mixing a bit up anyway for this. Let's see what the spectro does, and then I can choose between the two, which one's the closest shade. So I'm just flicking a bit more base coat on that. It's not so much the drop coat I'm doing there. I had a little bit of it's a little while ago I'd done this job, to be fair, but I think what I remember is just around the sealer I had sort of just a little bit of a sort of Waxhole looking reaction in there, so it just needed a bit dusting over there, and I sort of wanted to make that base coat, because that base coat is going to be visual on show with no clear or nothing over it. Just sort of wanted to sort of make it look like more overspray looking, so sort of a bit matter, I suppose, in a way. So yeah, but yeah, I did have a little bit of a reaction there. I can't remember what it was now, to be honest with you. It may have been just a bit of residue from degreaser that may have sat in around that sealer. But yeah, those rolls of little rolls of sealer on a tape, I think they're great for replicating factory looks on door skins and little applications like this. It's simple. As soon as you've applied it, you can put paint on it. I don't know about yourselves, but trying to do factory beads that's been done by a robot, again, this is another looking at fine details, because we're trying to copy what a robot's done in a lot of applications. Yeah, I'm not that good with a sealer gun to try and get a bead of sealer around a door skin. It's really difficult to get a consistent line all the way down and even without jogging it or getting the right pressure on the gun. Yeah, I'm probably not the best at doing that. So yeah, that sealer tape is really handy for that. So yeah, just gone over the rest of it now with a 1 bar drop coat, and just put one drop coat on that spray out card, and see what that looks like when I clear coat it. So quick little tack off in the little blend areas. Just flicked it a bit further under that quarter panel, done like a soft edge around that edge of that quarter panel, bit of a awkward little spot in the corner to soft edge. And yeah, using my mini jet again. So this one's a 1.2 RP version of the 4400B Sata mini jet, and yeah, puts a lovely coat of clear coat on. You could paint a wing or anything like, you know, something like that with it, no problem at all. It puts a decent amount of paint on and gives a decent finish, and again, doesn't consume a lot of product, and it's ideal for these little spots and these little areas. And yeah, the clear coat I'm using on this one is it's a quick dry. It's Mipa CX2 clear coat on this one. I think with the HS10 hardener was in this one, so only requires about 10 minutes on a full bake cycle of 10 minutes, and once it's cooled at 60 degrees and once that's cooled down, yeah, it's good enough to demask and start, you know, handling. So be 2 coats of this, sort of 2 full coats really. Just get that clear coat over everything, and then as you can see, there's overspraying on that A pillar anyway, so just sort of blend into that, overspraying a little bit where it's visible, and then this little underside of the bonnet, sort of just trying to catch the actual edge of the bonnet with a nice coat of clear coat, and then just try and let it sit in there naturally. You can find sometimes that yeah, you'll go a bit too far with something like that. If you're trying to replicate that type of finish, you go too far, too much clear coat on, and then yeah, it doesn't look quite the same. I know it's only an underside of a bonnet, and yeah, you know, some people might not pay any attention to it, but you know, if that was just fully glossy in there on one side and the other side wasn't, it's just another telltale sign that it's had work in there. So yeah, I like the little fine details on jobs. I find it quite satisfying, especially when you've done something on one side and you look at the other side and you think that almost looks identical to the other side. Me personally, I find it quite satisfying for that. And yeah, I'm just sort of tinkering around with it, looking at it, checking it. Even the orange peel in that, I'm trying to, you know, trying to make it look like it's almost like a mistake in a way, I suppose. Naturally, as a painter, you want to put a nice finish on, so I'm trying to do a lesser finish really, which probably is a bit more difficult, I don't know. But yeah, got that in there under that bonnet, and just giving it the second coat in this shirt. Check all over, make sure I've got a decent amount of clear coat in there, because obviously there was rust on there as well, so I want to make sure everything's clear coated very well. And yeah, just got the little blow-ins to do now, just the fading out to do. So I've sort of done the second coat, I've done it the opposite way, I've done the bonnet first, so there's less less of a time gap between the second coat and putting a bit of fade out in there. So just tipping the last bit of clear coat out of the gun, run a bit of fade out thinners through it. It's called Mipa Loser is the name of that fade out thinner, and it's fairly decent. Bit hit and miss I've been with fade out thinners. I'll be honest with you, the best one I've ever used was a Glasurit one. It was absolutely amazing fade out thinner. I've used it a couple of times and it just melt the new clear coat and the new top coat into the existing paint. It was like magic, honestly, this Glasurit one. Can't remember the numbers of it, but I did look at getting some, and for a little half a litre, I think with the VAT it went far off £300, which I thought I can't justify that for some fade out thinner. I'll live with one that's not quite as good. So yeah, but this one's okay. It goes in okay, like any fade out thinners. You've got to be a bit careful with it running, and I have the pressure bumped up a little bit on my fade out, so I find if I turn the pressure down too much on the fade out thinner, I know it's a thin product, so you are inclined to bump the pressure down a bit, but it can go spit on there a little bit and runs. Yeah, I'll be totally honest with you, I'm not the best at doing fade outs and smart repairs. I'm always experimenting with what I do, but one thing I do now is I make sure that beyond my prepped area, the area that my little pocket of tape or paper that would be covering while I'm clear coating it, I make sure that clean area beyond it is polished up really well with no contamination on, and that really seems to help with the fade outs. But yeah, not so critical on this job because most of the fade outs are hidden. And just, yeah, I always make sure anyway, on soft edges on panels, if I've painted up to a soft edge, just get that soft edge tape off of there. So that's just flip tape that I flip over on my knee, and create a little flap on the edge of that tape. Make sure I get it off, because any build up of product there, when it dries, it's going to leave a load of tape residue and bits of tape left behind, which that is a disaster trying to polish that out. But yeah, all went good. So yeah, that's the first part of this job. There will be a second part to this job where we prep all the outside and show you the prepping and the painting of this vehicle with a new wing, and with it all fitted up at the end. So yeah, thanks for watching, really appreciate it, and yeah, God bless you all, and we'll see you again in the next one. Look after yourselves.